let's go thrifting. Maggie's promised to be good. But she's in rare form today, so who knows? I'm still feeling under the weather. I have been battling a really bad sinus infection for 2 weeks. But with all that being said, you're typically since I film on Fridays, I'm not going to usually be all dressed up when I film with makeup on and hair done, because I'm getting ready to clean and I'm working and I'm doing a lot of things. So you're typically going to get me in the raw. And so as long as you don't mind looking at this while I give you some really good information and inspiration, then this is the channel for you. But if you don't like the raw look, there's plenty of other people on YouTube that are gorgeous and can do the same thing that I do. And you can check those channels out and go over there. So in today's video, it's all about thrifting. I'm going to show you a thrift haul. I'm going to show you some clips of thrifting itself, some of the stores that I went to. And then I'm also going to share some really good, let's call it Thrifting 101, some really good information about thrifting for those of you that might be new to thrifting, or some of you that may be old thrifters, but maybe you never knew some of the things that I'm going to tell you today. So as you guys know, I'm going to be reselling at some point. And one of the things that I knew I needed was a plate display. And I need more of these because they're going to be vital for me to display plates, platters, and things of that nature. And this one was $2. And they weren't supposed to sell it, but it had a sticker on it. And they had to sell it to me for $2. This was the hospice thrift store that I found that at. And I also found at the hospice thrift store this display shelf. And this was $4. Now, I could use this myself as a spice rack or something like that. But I can also keep it in my stash and use it in my booth for my resold items or my flipped items or things that I'm going to resell. And currently I have a business plan for my reselling business, and I'm in the inventory building stage right now. So I'm not reselling at this time. I am working my way up to that, planning that. That's going to be my retirement gig. The other thing, I mentioned that I'm collecting a lot of copper or copper-like items, whether they're real copper or not. If they look copper, I'm going to pick it up if it's reasonably priced, because I want to have this incorporated all throughout my kitchen. I love this plate because it has a primitive scene on it with the spinning wheel, the fireplace, and all of that, the little candle. It's very detailed. And I really do like the scene on it. I like the finish of it. It has a nice little border to it, little acorns and vines. So it's very fall-like. And fall is my favorite time of the year. So anyway, this will be going up in the kitchen. And it was $5. It was not on sale, nothing off. This was a Salvation Army find. So also at the Salvation Army, I found this set of, and I'm not holding it up too high because it's going to reflect my ring light and all. But anyway, this is a set of 5, not 4, but 5. And this was a Salvation Army find for $3. That is, I keep collecting those types of plates because they are going to come in handy. They're great as an accent piece on a tablescape. They're great as accent pieces on a shelf, things like that. Now, I'm also looking for pink plates because I'm going to keep the pink and green in the dining room through spring. So I found these. They're just a very muted pink, and not necessarily pastel-y. They're almost like a matte pink. And I love that. They were 99 cents a piece. And this was a Goodwill buy. And I bought 4. I'm going to put them in my little plate stand over here. And then again at the Salvation Army, I found this nice little, cute little picture to add to my picture collection. Now, I typically don't get them like this because I don't like the detail on it for my particular taste for what I've been collecting. But I did like the pattern on, let me explain this better. I'm not explaining this well. Let me move you up. I do like the pattern. I think this is gorgeous, but this does not fit in with my collection. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to buy it and use it somewhere else. I'm just not going to put it with the rest of my other pictures. I'm going to use this one probably in a different vignette. $2 Salvation Army. This is the style of picture that I collect. The very plain, primitive looking that I like. It could be considered farmhouse. It could be considered primitive because it's so plain and white. It could be considered modern because it's sleek. It has, you know, very distinct lines. It's not sharp lines or anything like that. So anyway, I got this one at, oh, this was also a Salvation Army find. They just hung the tag on it. For some reason, it was $1. No, I'm wrong. I did not get this one at this was $1 and it was at the Antique Mall in Strasbourg. And this was a Salvation Army find for $1. And it's the kind that you, like that. I think this is adorable. I'm going to use this in a vignette somehow. I'm not, you know, some of these things I'm not 100% sure of where I'm going to put them in the house. And some of these things I might not put up anywhere. They'll just go in my stash. If I'm not feeling it in my home, they automatically go into my stash. I've been looking for these at this particular size, and I have one, and these are everywhere. You can find these in all the thrift stores. 99 cents and Goodwill. I wanted it because I keep my, I like to use baby oil after a shower or a bath at least once a week because I have extremely dry skin during the winter. And you know, baby oil bottles, they just collect the oil on the bottom and wherever you set them. So I keep my oil bottle in one of these so that the oil, it's easy to clean. It doesn't ruin the furniture or the countertop or anything in the bathroom. So I wanted another one to keep my jewelry in that I take off at the end of every day. I thought it would be nice. And I think these are a great item that can be versatile for soaps or anything like that. So I'm picking these up as when I find them. And if they're 99 cents or below, it's well worth it. And then at the Antique Mall in Woodstock, she took the prices off of everything. So I'm going off of memory here. This is actually, as you can see, it has the matchstick thing here. This is meant to keep matches by your stove. Back in colonial days, obviously they didn't have electric stoves or gas stoves. They used wood and fireplaces and burners and things like that. So this was by their stove. And I've always wanted one, but I don't want to put matches in it. I want to put toothpicks in it. So I really need to clean this really good and run it through the dishwasher and see if I can get it sanitized enough to use as toothpicks because I bake a lot. And I use toothpicks to test my baked items. And so this would be a nice toothpick holder by the stove for me. So I definitely have been wanting one, and I'm super excited that I found one. I also want to find a salt box that you hang up that I can keep salt in by the stove. I think that would be nice. I also picked up at Hobby Lobby the knobs to put on my little kitchen, my kitchen flip cabinet that I made. Well, refinished. I just flipped it. I just refinished it. I didn't make it by no means. It was a $4 thing. Anyway, I'll show you that here. But I'm going to be putting these knobs on it, and I got 3 of these from Hobby Lobby for $4.99, and I fell in love with them just because of the coloring, and I think it'll match really well. But if these don't work because they're a little too big, I also picked up the little brushed ones. And these, I even thought about doing like a combination of the two, and I might do that. Art does not like that idea. He likes everything the same. But I think I might actually mix and match it up, because there's one drawer that's big, so that big knob will work really well on and make sense. And then the other ones are smaller, so the other ones might work there. In any case, I'm keeping all the knobs. I'm not taking any of them back because I can use them in other things. This was a Goodwill find for $2. Actually, I think I paid $1 because I think the green was half off that day. But it's just a vintage looking metal magnet bottle cap tic-tac-toe game. And I thought that was really cute. And we can put it on the refrigerator, or I don't know. I just thought it was cute. So this is going to go in my Christmas stash. I don't know that I'll use it. I may put it in the my Christmas bins. And then as I go through my Christmas items and set those aside for seasonal decor to resell, it might end up in the resell pile. Now, I have not opened this. It was a 99-cent find at Goodwill. And I got it because Maggie's going to be like, what? What are you doing, Mom? Because of this. Look at that. Is this not the cutest little thing? Now, of course, this is doll furniture, but I'm not using it as doll furniture. Watch this. I'm going to point you down so you can see. Look at that. So I'm going to set it here. What do you think? Look at that. It is a nice, my hand's covering it, so let me see if I can do it this way. It is a nice way to, it's like a nice little stand, you know, to elevate something in your vignettes. And I think that is just too cute. Yes, it is too cute. It also came with a chair, and I was stumped about, do I just toss this or what? But you know what? I will probably also use this as a stand of sorts, because you could put something little on that and use it as a stand. See, I mean, it'll work. I'll figure something out. But while I have this in my hand, this was 50 cents at the Salvation Army, and it's just one of the primitive tins or milk glass. It is Flormel. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm not able to, something flowers. Flormel's something flower, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure what was in that, but. Now, also at the Goodwill for $7, a cast iron. Look at the patina on this. It's a cast iron. I'm going to assume that even though it's corn shaped, it is meant for cornbread or some type of biscuit. And it's just a mold, cast iron mold. But you can, I'm imagining you would have been able to cook in these at some point. But I just, of course, I'm not going to use it for cooking, but isn't that a beautiful display item? I love that. I also found at the at the antique mall, this was $2. It's just a copper spatula with some good patina. It already has the hook, so you know where I'm going to put that. I also found at that same store, I think this was $3. I can't remember offhand. This is a tart press, a primitive tart press. Is that not the cutest thing ever? So you would put your bread in there, and it has the little indentations around here for like little pies, you know? So it's a little tart press. And then for $1 at that same store, I found this little baggie, which would be cute in a little vignette. And then at the Etc. consignment shop, I found these primitive candle holders. And they sit up on their own, so I don't have, this was $1.50. They were 50% off. They were regularly $4.50. So I spent, not $1.50, I spent $2.25. $2.25? Yes. So anyway, aren't they cute? I love those. So you could hang them, but I'm not going to hang them. I'm going to actually sit them my first choice would be to stand them up and use them that way with some primitive wax candles. And then, Maggie, you're gonna have to get down for this because I need both hands. I love linens. And I found a set for $1.99. I got 2 of these beautiful placemats. They're not vintage or anything special. However, and they're reversible. So this is the one side, this is the other side. And yes, there was only 2. This was a Salvation, no, Goodwill, fine. This is really good to use just like maybe in a bedroom. Our bedroom, this might work in because we have the grays and the, you know, that kind of color going on up there. So I was thinking, initially I thought, oh, this would be nice in my bedroom. So we'll see. I'm not 100% sure, but they're nice to have. They're great. I love that pattern. I do. I love it. And then a huge score was at that antique mall in Woodstock, Strasbourg, that's kind of bordered. Woodstock and Strasbourg are very close. So I travel from one to the other as I'm thrifting up in that area. And so it's in one of those. They have, Woodstock and Strasbourg are like the hidden treasures and hidden gems for antiquing. I'm just going to say they're great. The prices are on point. I found 1950s vintage linens that were handmade. Yes. Now, I have this. Now, she took the prices off, the tags, because I guess they have a filing system because the antique mall, of course, is all vendors. And so they take the tags that have the price and the description of the item and they file it so that when they pay out to the vendors, that's how they're paying out. And the vendors have a description of the price of what the item was. It's a very antiquated process, but it works for them. I would have loved to have brought the tag home because it had a lot of information about the maker and the year they were made and all of that. But I should have thought to ask her to take a picture of it, but I didn't. So this was a full set. And what I liked was that they have that color patina to them and the black. I just love that. And the pattern, I'm not sure, they're like little flowers and leaves, very primitive looking flowers and leaves. Good size napkins. And that, I'm dropping them. Isn't that not gorgeous? Just very cute. So how many did I get of these? I didn't even count how many were there. $5. I paid $5 for this set. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 napkins. And then look at this. It came with a set of these as well. And I'm not sure what these are. I mean, it's not a napkin. It's not a table runner. It's not a placemat. Because of the size and the shape of it, I'm not sure what it is, but I love it. And I will incorporate it. Wouldn't this be pretty over a plate instead of the full napkin? And maybe put the napkin in your Wexford glass or something. But isn't that gorgeous? I mean, absolutely gorgeous. And they're all the same. And this looks like just a leaf with some flowers or a vine with some flowers on it. So I think how many? I'm going to assume 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I got 6 of these. And then there were placemats. And the placemats look like, I'm going to lay that down. The placemats look like this. Aren't they cute? Very well made. Very well made. Is that not the cutest? I just love them. I love them. And then there's actually not a tablecloth. It's almost, and it's not a table runner. It's this big square that would fit in the middle of a table. Depending on the size of your table, it might come off the sides. It won't come off the sides of mine. It'll perfectly fit in the middle of my table. And I could turn it this way to put on the table and it might go off the sides a little bit. But Look at the detailing on that. It's like a little bouquet or an urn with flowers in it. And it's just gorgeous. I love it. And then the last set of the 1950s, hold on, Maggie. It's a smaller set, and I paid $5 for this as well. It came with a set of 4 placemats and 4 napkins. Maggie, you're being rude. No, you're being rude. No. Do you hear this? And it's not at first I thought, oh, these are religious. It's not a cross. It's just a detailing, you know? But these are also 1950s vintage handmade napkins. And they're rather big napkins. And then the placemats that match. And I'm assuming the napkin is mimicking this, because this is on each corner. And so it's on the corner of the napkin as well. So that's what that is. See? But aren't they just beautiful? They're absolutely beautiful. And I got 4 of the napkins for the placemats. Then, I think this is the last thing I got. No, it's not. It's not. This is not the last thing. Hold on. This is the last thing, which I'm most excited about. But let me go grab the other item. This is going to be hard to get on camera. Look at this urn. If I can get, look at that. It was $15. And it has handles. If I can find them under here. Here's the handle. Right here is the handle. Each side has a handle. And this is the greenery that came on it. And it is very, very big. I'll have to try to get a better picture of it for you. I'll take you down and show you what it's like standing on the table. It's pretty big. So look at that. I mean, it is huge. Absolutely huge. Such a big, but it's beautiful. It's got all these wonderful colors in it. And for $15, I would have paid that for the urn alone. So I'm actually going to put this outside on the front porch. As you can see here, I am fading and Maggie is anxious. I also picked up this picture, and it is a large picture, but I love the print, and I paid $10 at the Goodwill for it. I picked up this and that urn 2 different days at the same Goodwill. Look at this. Look at that. I can't even get it all in. But there's the picture. Is that not? Look at that. It's gorgeous. I'll have to do a better job of filming that picture, I think. But, like, take the camera down and do the scan thing. I love it. And I'm pretty sure I know where I'm going to put it. But if it doesn't work where I think I'm going to put it, then it might end up going in the resale stash. I've been wanting to kind of bring up the topic of Thrift 101, because there's a lot of things about thrifting that I don't think people either know, realize, or maybe they do, they just need a reminder of. Let's go through the types of thrifting stores first. First, there's consignment shops. Consignment shops they sell a multitude of things, clothes, housewares, furniture, items like that. And it can range from things that are just well-used items to antiques or vintage items. And they are priced according to what the store is going to take and what the donator gets. So the store takes a portion of whatever that total price is, what they get for that item. The store gets a percentage and the donator gets a percentage. And so the pricing at a consignment shop is going to tend to be a little bit higher because of factoring in the taxes and overhead of two people needing to sell that item versus a sole proprietor selling that item. And a lot of consignment shops and a lot of antique malls are sole proprietorships, and meaning there's owned and operated by one entity. Maybe that's one person, one family, or maybe two best friends decided to open a shop together, but it's not a chain by any means. You're not going to find them throughout the country. They might be just unique to the area and community that you live in. So keep that in mind when you're questioning pricing or choosing where you want to do your thrifting at. I don't do a lot of consignment shop thrifting because, like I said, the prices are a little bit higher, and I don't feel necessarily that my money is going for a good cause. It's going to a person, almost like a yard sale situation. It's going to the person that donated it directly. Then you have the Salvation Army and the Goodwill, and places that fall into that category of true thrifting stores. These are donated items, and the hospice thrift stores also go into this kind of area. Now, there may be others. In our area, we don't have like the American, I think there's one called American Thrift Store and that kind of thing. We don't have those in our area. Ours are mainly hospice, Goodwill, and Salvation Army. And those are all ran kind of the same way with slight differences. So they each have a different mission. They're each a chain. It's a nationwide organization. And the reason that they're considered, you'll find them throughout the country, is because their mission is tied to government funding or government grants, or their business license is tied somehow to being a 14C3 or something like that. Anyway, they're putting good back into the community and funding their mission of helping the community, if that makes sense. Hospice's mission is helping people die with dignity. Goodwill's mission is helping people with barriers to employment have employment opportunities. And the Salvation Army is feeding and sheltering the homeless in our community. So they each have distinct missions, and they run those missions outside of the stores and the thrifting. So when you choose to shop at a hospice or a Salvation Army or a Goodwill, you are giving back and supporting those missions. And so you need to think about that. To me, it's very important to know where my money is going, especially if I'm supporting a cause. And so I really stick to my favorites are those three, because I know that I know where my money's going and what it's supporting. Now, that does play a huge part in the pricing of their prices. Hospice tends to be higher, like a consignment shop, because they get really great items. Typically, the items that come in a hospice store are from those loved ones that have passed on. And all of their items, their furniture, their clothes, their antiques, everything will go into that store. That's what we did when my mother passed away. And that's why they have higher items. Plus, they auction a lot of items off. They get these wonderful antiques and they don't sell them, they auction them off. So there's a book usually in a hospice thrift store, and you can write down your bid. And they have a certain length of time that bids will go on, so you have to go back to the store and keep an eye on where your bid's at. But that's how the pricing works for the hospice thrift store, and where what their mission is and what you're supporting with that. With the Salvation Army, like I said, you're supporting the shelters and the homeless population and feeding them, like the canteen sites and things like that. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I have volunteered at those. I have always volunteered and given my time to the Salvation Army and ran the canteen sites in the summers on my days off and things like that, because I am passionate about helping other people. But I also shop there. Now, I don't like the Salvation Army's prices any more than anybody else does. And I think they need to come down on their prices a little bit too, because they're not directly helping a person or an individual. They are getting money for their overall mission. And so their prices tend to be really wonky and high. So I have a bit of an issue with theirs sometimes too. But I do support their mission. And if the price is right for me and my budget, I will buy it there. And then there's the Goodwill, which is the most near and dear to my heart, because Their mission supports the mission of my company, and that's helping people with barriers to employment have employment opportunities. Now, when you think of that, most likely and most often people will go to a physical disability, and that is the case most often. And then there's also the other types of disability, not just the physical, not just the mental, but there's the disability for the homeless people. There's a lot of situations, and this is just an example. This is not of anyone I particularly personally know. It's just reminiscent or a pretty common example of what we see in this field. There's a woman who's young, who has a child or multiple children, who is in an abusive relationship, and they do not know how to get out of it. And they finally make the brave decision to go to a women's shelter. And at the women's shelter, they are guided through the process of getting the restraining orders and the protective orders, and then going through the custody battles and all of the things that happen with that. And they're living in the shelters some of them have never worked before. They've gotten pregnant out of high school, or they've gotten pregnant in high school, and they're in this situation. And so they're navigating life for the first time on their own, and they don't have the skills, and they don't have the ability to work because they have no job, they have no place to live, and they have no childcare, and they have kids, and it's awful. It's an awful situation to be in. And it's a very common situation. So these women, and others like this, there's plenty of other examples. I'm just giving you this one. There's women like this who need that employment, and they need that work history, and they need the skill set. So Goodwill provides that opportunity. They bring them in, give them a job, and then they might start out in the back, unloading the donations and going through the donations and pricing the donations. And they're learning about how to be in the retail business, how to price, how to inventory, how to stock, all those things. So they're learning. They get to choose the prices they take out of the donation. If they receive a donation, that becomes their income. They're allowed to price it, inventory it, and the barcode on that tag that they've priced it at goes directly into their paycheck. They get a portion of that. And so they get commission off of those items. And that's how they make their wage. So you're supporting. Now I say this and tell you this because when you look at an item at the Goodwill and you're like, man, who priced this? This is ridiculous. Think about the person that priced it. That's their wage. And maybe that item is the only thing that sells that week. And that's their paycheck. And they only get a portion of that. They don't get the whole amount. They get a portion of that. They're getting commission. So think about that. The Goodwill helps people get established while they're getting on their feet. And they always move on to better jobs. They do. They don't stay at the Goodwill. They move on to a better job. There are people that are at the Goodwill that manage the Goodwill and that work there and that are hired by the Goodwill as like Goodwill employees. And they get, salaries, or they get, pay for their skill set because they're coming in to support the people that are working there that have the barrier to employment. And that's what our company does. Our company provides job coaching. So we even have job coaches that go to the Goodwills and will help people with developmental disabilities or, physical disabilities or other disabilities like environmental disabilities that cause the barrier to employment. We go in and we help them and we guide them. And then they also have the support of maybe, like I said, in our example, like the women's shelter, they have people that are there to guide them through the process of the legalities of their situation and that kind of thing. So when you shop and thrift, think about where you're thrifting. And now antique malls and consignment shops are totally outside of having a mission. They're just retail shops, and your money is going to the people to make money. And that's not a bad thing. That helps our economy too. It's fine. It also helps the environment because some of that stuff would end up in the dump instead of in a consignment shop where we can purchase it. So it is a great way to shop and make good use of your money and revenue and all that. But you're really going to be making the most impact in our world and in humanity if you shop at Salvation Armies, Goodwills, and hospice thrift stores. So I go there first always. And then the consignment shops and the antique malls are kind of my bonus. You know what I mean? But I never pass up the ones that have the mission that we can support and make the world a better place. So I hope that this information helps you. I hope that it helps, you know, shed some light on why the pricing is so weird. But I also hope that it helps you, helps those prices be a little bit more palatable and helps you maybe connect more on a human level to thrifting those places, because it definitely does that for me. So I'm going to end this video here. I am going to go about my normal Friday. If you guys wouldn't mind sending some good vibes that I start to feel better soon. This has just been miserable. I just feel lousy and I need to feel better because my life is so busy. So send some positive vibes my way. And until next Sunday, stay positive, shop local, support those missions. And until next Sunday, Maggie and I, will see you then. Bye.